Alright guys, Tush coming at you, Friday, April 17th, just about 6:15 in the evening. Happy Friday, looking forward to the weekend. Hopefully I'll be able to get some work done in the garage. Got a bit of a British car show on Sunday, British car show and flea market in Ancaster, Ontario, so I'm hoping to go to that on Sunday, but we'll see how the weather holds out. Until that point in time, we'll continue to work on the car, and we're going to be back on the transmission tonight, and we're going to try to reinstall that clutch fork. And I do have a new release bearing to install as well while I'm in there. So we'll clean that case up a little bit more, and we'll get some of that old grease out before we put the cross shaft back in and lock it in with the new taper pin and the new bolt that we did last night. So that's what we're up to tonight. And then I think what we'll do after that is we'll probably move on to the crankshaft pulley. I still need to blast and paint that, so I'd like to get that done so I can get that stuck back on the front of the engine along with the snout and the fan. So I think that's what the plan will be for tonight anyway. We'll get this out of the way and we'll move on to some other things. Alright guys, we'll come back. Alright guys, we're just going to work on the getting the crank pulley blasted, and we'll get it into paint tonight, and we'll be able to play with it tomorrow once it's dry. So that's the plan. So we got the blaster charging up. We'll probably just wire brush this nose piece, and we should be good to go. So we'll get that in the blaster and primer and paint. Hey, good morning guys, Tush coming at you. Saturday morning, 9:30, April 18th, and we're just getting ready to work on the front of the engine again. So there's the last night's work. There's the crank pulley, and we've got the other bits here that I've just rescued from the dining room table. So they've got the crank snout, the lock plate, the fan, and that's the rear gearbox mount that we're going to install back on the transmission. I've already stuck the crank bolt in here, or the dog, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to get to business assembling this morning, and hopefully by the end of the weekend we'll be able to get the engine back in the chassis. So anyway, that's what we're up to, and so just thought I'd give you a quick update, and we'll come back when there's some progress. Alright guys. Just on the reassembly of the pulley, just reading up in the manual that it's important that the hole in the rear pulley, which is the TDC mark, is directly across from the keyed part in the crank pulley. So I just wanted to sort of point that out. I don't know if you can see that. There it is. Alright guys, we have the pulley and the crank snout on loosely. Nothing's torqued up yet. And we're just going to move on to this, the dog bolt, the crank bolt, whatever you want to call it. Don't forget that there may be a couple shims here that need to go on the bolt before it's inserted through into the crank. And I was reading up on that, and it sounds like these are to position the shims are placed behind the head of this bolt, which incorporates the starting handle dogs to provide the correct relation with the starting handle. And the engine compressions, this position is obtained with numbers 1 and 4 pistons at TDC. And the dog face is corresponding to 10 minutes to 4 o'clock. So we got to make sure that we've got to get that correct. There's a little bit of a photo there when we're putting the lock plates on the fan. So we're going to do that now, and we'll make sure everything's adjusted properly. All right, guys, we got the crank dog bolt torqued up to 140 foot-pounds, and we've got the pulley attachment bolts torqued to 8 pounds. So we're ready to go on the next step, which is the attachment of the fan. So we're going to go do that next. Got a quick update for you. The fan's now on. Hopefully it's on the right way. Anyway, had to do a lot of thinking on that one. Anyway, it's on. The lock plates are done. Bolts are torqued down, so we're good to go. And I think we'll move on to the gearbox mount and get ready to drop this back into the frame. Alright guys, just coming up to 12:30, and just a little bit of an update. I do have the rear gearbox mount installed now, so that's ready to go. Now we've just dug out the old motor mounts, and there's a good look at what they look like. Pretty perished. So I've got the ground strap here that attaches from the timing chain cover over to one of the mounts for the driver's side mount for the engine. And anyway, we've got new mounts here ready to go. So we're going to take these little plates off, these mounts. We're going to keep those, we're going to clean them up, and then we'll get these onto the car and get ready to drop the engine on top of them. Alright guys, motor mounts are on. And a quick view of the ground strap. I believe that's where it goes. We painted the shims, so they look a little bit better. So yeah, I think we're pretty much ready to get the engine off the stand and get the clutch back on. So I think we might work on doing that. We'll get the engine hoist hooked up, and we'll get that engine off the stand. And like I said, we'll get the clutch hooked up, and I'll probably give Les a call to give me a hand to stick the tranny back on. So we'll see. Alright guys, quick update for you. We've got the clutch on. We're just about to torque down the bolts. We've used a little blue Loctite, and we're going to torque those to 20 foot-pounds. And then after we do that, we'll remove the clutch alignment tool, and we'll get ready to bolt the tranny on. Alright guys, just coming up to 7 o'clock. Quick update. And we got the transmission, and we got the motor in the frame, or in the chassis, whatever you want to call it. So it's looking good. Had Les give me a hand, and another buddy named Sean give me a hand. It's always good to have a couple of extra hands around just to guide things in a little easier. So I'm not sure if that's coming out or not. It's fairly dark, but anyway, I've got the fuel pump on. I've got to get the bolts in the rear tranny mount, but it looks like it's lining up not too bad. Probably needs a little bit more work on the other side, but yeah, so it's good to have that back in the car. So we'll probably add a few other things. Like I said, I've got the, we know we've got the exhaust manifold. We can probably put that on just to get it out of the way. We've got the starter to put in. We can probably put the generator back on. I'm just trying to basically clear everything out that I've got in the dining room inside and get it back on the car. And once we do that and get this thing maybe back to steering condition, we'll roll it outside and we'll put it at the side of the house for a little while while we go back to work on the 60. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a quick update, show you that that's in. Happy about that. And like I said, we'll continue playing and adding a few more things to it. Maybe we'll give you another update towards the end of the night. Well guys, just coming up to 9:30 p.m. and I think we're done for the night. We've got a few more things put on the car. I'm not sure when the last update was, but so the fuel pump is on. I'm not sure if that was on before. I did put the coil on. I'm not real happy with it. It's pretty old and decrepit looking. It works because the car fired up, but I think we're going to be getting a new coil. That is a distributor out of the race car. It's running Petronics. Obviously the yellow wires are hideous, so those will change. Probably for black wires and proper plug caps. Other than that, on the other side I put the starter on. I was going to put the generator on. I've got that here on the table, but I can't seem to locate my mounting kit for that yet, so we've delayed that. But there's the starter back on the car, and I just put the exhaust manifold there, just hanging on one stud. So not screwed on or anything, but just sitting there just to get it off the dining room table. So I think that's it for tonight, guys. We'll probably upload this, and we'll try to get back out here tomorrow. I'm not sure how much we'll be able to do tomorrow. There is supposed to be a British car show and flea market tomorrow in Ancaster, Ontario. So if the weather's good, we're going to go. It's about an hour and a half drive away one way. So hopefully the weather will be good enough to go and enjoy the day. Alright guys, we will talk to you later.